Yo, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for being here. As the title says, I will be checking out the history of Minecraft zombies or something of that nature. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to title this yet. But before I do, because y'all really seem to enjoy me showcasing a bit of my Minecraft Dungeons character, I got a little bit of an update for y'all. And also, I kind of want to show you a bit how my build works, because I have not looked up anything on the game. So any theory crafting or items I put together for my build is literally just based on what I see in the game and the tool tips I read. So let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. So right here is my Minecraft Dungeons character. Right now he's level 77. I have the beginning and the end blades that leech health from mobs, so this gives me some sustain to be able to get through the level, which is really difficult at higher levels. You deal with creepers, you deal with people doing massive amounts of damage. And then I have a bit of the guarding strike here, so this gives me a temporary shield. So I'm smacking them and I'm proccing a temporary shield every time I kill the enemies, which helps me with damage. And then I have my favorite proc right now thus far, the lightning. And I am working on my own special Thor Minecraft Dungeons build, where it's basically like a full lightning build, and I am excited to showcase that once I get all the parts put together. But for right now, I just want to go into a game real quick and kind of showcase how my build works a little bit, and then we'll get into the Minecraft game theory reactions. And also, again, this is not edited. I don't want it. I can't. A part of me just can't stand at my, like, I can't stand my editing software right now, but also I like not editing because it kind of gives y'all me. You know what I'm saying? Just me with really little to no filter. So this big guy right here does a lot of damage. So I'm just gonna kind of look how much damage he did. I have 1600 health. He did more than half my health and damage with one strike. So now I'm about to show you guys the beauty of this build. So this first artifact right here, it roots them. And then I use this to lift them up and to blow them upward. So watch this. Boom. And then look how much damage he took. Oops. Okay, so that right there, what you just saw was a problem with this build. I'm squishy. Okay, and on higher levels, the damage is actually ridiculous when you combine the creepers. My bow, on, by the way, is very powerful. I have an elite power bow. It does greater damage, strong curse attacks. So let me really show you. I know that looked bad, but... And then I use the mushrooms. Boom. Look at that. Look at those lightning procs. There we go. Now, if you get stuck, you gotta roll. Like that. You gotta roll out of... Oh my god, there's way too many. I'm gonna die, I think. Oh, I can keep rooting and kiting them. So if you ever get in like a really... There we go. If you ever get in like a really bad position with this build, the good thing is that there are things you can do. There are things you can do. You can root them and then kite them to get out of it. And then I'm using my mushroom, get a little speed. Boom. See this? I'm like a storm. Look how much damage I took there, but I can kite it out because I'm killing the mobs, so I'm getting my health back. And this right here, the level I picked is not an easy level. This level has all kinds of creepers in it. And poison arrows, which are not fun. But yeah, so... But yeah, so that's my Minecraft Dungeons build so far. Like I said, I want to do a full guide when I am able to get to level 100. So I'm grinding to level 100 first. And then I'm going to put together my Thor build. And I'll have a better build for you right now. But as you can see, my armor is still common. And even though I'm using this cooldown build, this short cooldown build that roots and it's like a storm, because my armor is common, I really don't have that much health. So this build can be so much better, and I can't wait to have it at full potential. Okay. Game theory. Minecraft zombies. What are the history of Minecraft zombies? Is there a virus infecting the overworld? Well, I'm going to find out today with Minecraft game theory as I go through the lore and order. If you enjoy me reacting to Minecraft game theory and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe today. Join an aliens. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it, Alien Armada.
Ugh, I am so done with literally every game being a zombie survival game. I get it, The Walking Dead was a popular franchise. 2010 called, they want their genre back. Give me something new, you know?
Totally. Hey, you want to go gather some resources?
Sure.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. You're not really fine. You just can't get into it because...
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where we're all blockheads. Before we begin today's episode, a quick reminder that this Tuesday, December 1st, is the big show that I have been hyping up for the last month.
Oh, St. Jude.
$1 million challenge to benefit
That's
St. Jude
huge.
Children's Research Hospital and their mission of ending childhood cancer.
Wow.
It is a stream that has been a year in the making. A stream that'll feature favorite creators of yours like Mr. Beast, Marquez Brownlee, Jaden Animations, Pokimane, and Minecraft speedrunner Dream.
Wow, that is so freaking cool. When was this shot? November 2020. Very interesting. Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's dope. Okay. But this is over, so I'm going to skip it.
To go back and examine one of the added elaborate gonna want a man is it earlier this year, and then using that information to go back and examine one of the oldest parts of Minecraft, the zombie. Zombies are such an omnipresent part of pop culture nowadays that it's easy to overlook them, which is kind of ironic considering what made them explode onto the scene in the first place was how horrific they were. And now they're mundane again, such as the circle of life, or the circle of undead. It's a circle of undead. And of course the zombie jockeys are just always terrifying. Those things will mess you up. Anyway, in all of my exploration of Minecraft lore up to this point, I've tended to skip over them for exactly that reason. They're just kind of there. Meh, generic hostile mob. In a world full of fire-breathing dragons, three-headed withers, exploding moss monsters, and teleporting Slenderman, there's just so many other cooler things to talk about. Zombies are just very easy to overlook, but
Honestly, it upsets me that he's taken this long to get to this. I don't feel like zombies are easy to overlook. Not with how many there are in the world. Honestly, I really did think that this, like the zombies, would have been one of the first things that he was going to cover in great detail in this series. I really did think that. Not saying I'm mad at what we got. I'm just more or less thinking that the zombies aren't really something or a mob that should be overlooked. It should be a mob that he would want to make a video about, seeing as how common they are. How many views is... Okay. So you know what? This is actually on the lighter side of views in comparison to the rest of the game theories. So I think that the data that they studied when it comes to these videos, what they learned about the algorithm in this video really dictated when they got to talking about the Minecraft zombies. They probably did a poll. They probably looked at their analytics. They probably looked at Google searches and trend searches and then realized that no one cares. I think generally people don't care, and that's the problem.
But you know what? That was dumb of me. Short-sighted. Because they are the bedrock upon which Minecraft is built. In a very literal sense. These guys have been a part of the game since the beginning in update 0.2.0. So if anything has an importance to the lore, it's probably them. And you know what? They do. With some of the updates made to the Nether, I believe we now have some very interesting leads as to what zombies are and how they play into the overall narrative of the game. Today we're talking about how the zombies and other zombified mobs might just be the most important clues for discovering what may have pushed an ancient race of builders to flee the overworld and live in the end. One of the things that sent me down this rabbit hole was reading Minecraft the Island, an official Minecraft novel. Yes, in absence of new FNAF books, I've now moved on to Minecraft.
That is a cool looking, that is such a cool book cover. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I saw this at a store, I'd want to buy it.
Craft novels. Yeah, I'll get to you guys too, maybe. Anyway, the book was a surprisingly compelling read. I have expected this to be some lazy video game tie-in novel, but it's so much more than that. For one thing, it's written by Max Brooks, who you might know as the author of World War Z, one of the best zombie apocalypse stories in recent memory. It certainly was enough to get my attention, and once I started reading, it became clear to me that he was chosen to emphasize the horror of Minecraft's world. Take this excerpt. I stopped and backed away. Its clothes were ragged and filthy. Its flesh was a mottled green. Its eyes, if you could call them eyes, were nothing but lifeless black points in a flat, unmoving face. Memories flooded my mind. Images of creatures I'd known from stories but had never seen in person. And here it was, approaching me with outstretched arms. Numb with fear, I sprinted for the hill. I wasn't thinking, wasn't planning. Terror drove my every step. This is a Minecraft book. Like, what? Oh, and by the way, the audiobook is narrated by Jack Black, so
No way. No way. No way. What? What? Jack Black narrated? Oh, I feel like I have to listen to that. What?
Terrifying passage, but instead of being read by professional YouTuber MatPat, it's being read by professional YouTuber Jablinski Games.
Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I wanna be.
Professional FNAF YouTuber Jablinski Games. So let's begin with what we know about Minecraft zombies. For one thing, they only seem to spawn in the overworld. There are some reports of them spawning in the Nether, but those are extremely few and can never really be replicated. It's thought to be either a bug or a remnant from some mods, but if they are indeed limited to the overworld, along with their variants like the Husk and the Drowned, that prompts the most obvious question of why? Why do they only exist in the overworld? One explanation I've seen tossed around online would be that the zombies are just zombified villagers, and as such, you'll only find them in places where you find other villagers, aka the overworld. But the fact that zombie villager exists...
It's literally an entirely different mob. It's literally... Can I tell y'all my fright when I saw a zombie villager for the first time? Like, my mind was so freaking blown that the game really, instead of turning it into a zombie mob, that after they got bitten, that they literally turned into a zombified villager and started walking towards me. Like, man, if I wish I caught that experience on camera, because I lost my crap. I really did.
As a separate mob type with its own look, kinda throws that theory under the bus. Why do zombie villagers look like villagers and normal zombies look just like us? These zombies seem to be the zombified remains of builders like Steve, and yet, like the zombie villagers, these OG zombies, or vanilla zombies, tasty zombies, are only found in the overworld. If zombies are truly the remains of dead players, or a race of ancient builders from the past or whatever, why wouldn't you find zombies anywhere that Steve-like builders are able to go, like the Nether and the End? It's suspicious. Well, I think the answer to this question lies in the behavior of another mob, the zombified Piglin. We actually talked about the zombie Piglin previously on the channel, back before the 1.16 Nether update, and since then there have been some, noteworthy new changes with this particular mob. Back when I did my first video on them, there was really no explanation for what could have created humanoid zombie pigs. The only thing that we had to go on was that they spawned when lightning struck near a pig. And since then, as the Mojang team has further developed the Piglin mob, it appears as though Minecraft wants that feature removed. Quote from lead creative designer Jeb on Twitter, @Jeb, will pigs struck by lightning become zombified Piglin or regular Piglin? Jeb's reply, we will likely remove that feature because it'll work differently. This tells me that even though, as I write this, lightning near a pig still spawns a zombified Piglin, it's more a thing that's been grandfathered in.
I wonder, is this still the case? I think it is. I think it is still the case. I don't know if it's still the case or not. We're in 2022 now, but I believe it still happens.
As an Easter egg to OG players, but no longer represents
Y'all can let me know in the comment section if it still happens or not.
the new lore that they have in mind for this particular mob type. So what spawn mechanic does reflect how piglins, not pigs, canonically become zombified piglins? Visiting the overworld. I'm serious. If you take a piglin out to the overworld or the end, after 15 seconds, they turn into a zombified piglin.
No freaking way. Is that what's happening? I thought it was a zombified piglin making it through the portal. I didn't realize it was a regular piglin and then it turns into zombified. Oh my gosh. My mind is blown. My mind is legit blown. What? Because I've seen this transfer so many times. I've seen it transition before. Like, because I had the portal just set up. I think I may have been playing on the DTP-SMP and it happened as well.
Just as a result of standing in the overworld and breathing. And I mean that literally. It seems like the only plausible explanation for what could be happening here, that the piglins, upon traveling to the overworld, begin breathing in something that just magically turns them from a perfectly well-functioning living creature into a flesh-starved zombie. It's bizarre. Something about being in the overworld turns piglins into zombies. As I see it, the only explanation for this is some sort of airborne zombie virus. Now, that might seem crazy at first. After all, we and the villagers are all able to run around in the overworld all day, breathing in the same air without turning into zombies. So what gives? Well, that question is best answered by turning to some very real and some very tragic history. As you might have learned in your history class, when European colonists came to America and started—
Oh no, don't do this to me again. Don't do this again. No. 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 He always uses real historic events or like real life events to make the most insane jumps in these theories. And don't get me wrong, some of the jumps land, but other ones are just like, bro, what? How did we get there? Oh man, this is cool.
Interacting with the native population, it didn't go well for the indigenous Americans. In fact, it's estimated that over 90% of indigenous Americans were killed in the decades that followed.
Man.
It's just horrific. But why I bring this up today is how they died. Because, well, the Europeans—
what do they call it? The Trail of Tears? Or something like that? Oh, Lord.
that settled in America certainly did kill plenty of indigenous Americans in warfare. Most were killed by diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza. Diseases that were common in Europe, but completely new to the indigenous population of the New World. In many cases, they weren't even getting these diseases from people who were displaying symptoms of the sickness. The European explorers were asymptomatic carriers of the diseases, a concept that, in 2020, a lot of us have become all too familiar with. These were all diseases that Europeans had been dealing with for generations, and with each passing generation, the people who managed to survive dying from some terrible epidemic passed on their antibodies and immunities to their descendants. With each generation, Europeans gained stronger and stronger immune systems, which meant that formerly devastating diseases were no longer quite so deadly. So when the Europeans brought these diseases to the New World, exposing a population whose ancestors had no opportunity to build up those same immunities, the results were devastating. But there's a part of this story that might strike some people as a gaping hole. Why weren't the Europeans having the same problem? They too were in a new land encountering new people. Why weren't the colonists dying of the American diseases? Well, the answer is cities. Europeans lived in densely packed cities, which were breeding grounds for infection. Another thing that we've seen pretty darn clearly in 2020. I don't know if you've heard about this one. Looks like a lot of people are still missing the memo, but big gatherings of people all packed together in a tight space are one of the easiest ways to spread a virus. Go figure.
They call it a super spreader. It's what happened at VidCon. Okay? It's what happened at VidCon, alright? I was sitting here, over here, feeling bad that I couldn't go to VidCon and see some of my favorite creators. Turns out, majority of them got freaking COVID because everyone is all packed on top of each other. there are going to be, of course, people who are like, I'm fine, I'll be cool without a mask here, or I'll be cool without a mask there. People not washing their hands and things like that. Boom. Everyone's going to get COVID. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't even matter how safe you think you're being in a scenario like that, because you're surrounded by so many people who are likely being safe, but the small percentage that aren't, they're passing it on to the people who are being safe. So all those people who didn't go to VidCon also probably were COVID free for that weekend. So I'll say that. Not saying that I wish anything on the people who did go, or that, you know, it's good for me that I didn't go and didn't get it, or, you know, and I'm rubbing it in their face or anything. I feel bad that they ended up getting it. But it is one of those things where events right now are typically super spreaders, especially events in cities or events that require a lot of people to fly from different parts of the country.
Social distancing starts to get a whole lot harder when you're all packed together like sardines. And all of that gets compounded far worse when you don't have modern conveniences like plumbing and clean water. If you want an indication of how big a problem water contamination was during this time, it took until 1535 to finally prohibit people from dumping their excrement into the River Thames of London.
That is actually just absolutely disgusting. Like that is actually just truly disgusting.
Yeah, they had to pass a law outlawing you from dumping your poop into the water that ran through its most populous city. Reports from the time say that the water ran black.
Oh, that's gross.
Really makes you want to reconsider that Riverview property, huh? All of these factors combine to make European cities a breeding ground for all kinds of horrible diseases. North America, meanwhile, with its lack of densely populated cities, stood in stark contrast, and hence the indigenous people of North America had no plagues. All of that is a fascinating...
Real talk. I hate to say it, but Europe literally ruined it. We literally, not we, but like, bruh. Like, don't get me wrong, I would not be sitting here in my comfy freedom with my internet to be able to do all this right now if what happened didn't happen. But if we're being completely honest, Europe literally ruined America. Like, ruined it, desecrated it. Lost a lot of the indigenous people, majority of the indigenous people. The lakes and all the beautiful trees and everything is all getting all swamped all over. Like, it's all bad.
And frankly tragic look at history, but what relevance does it have in Minecraft? Well, understanding the history of diseases and plagues in the real world, it becomes a lot easier for us to understand how this might happen in the fictional world of Minecraft. Let's just assume for a minute that there is a zombie plague floating around in the air of Minecraft's overworld and end. We don't know how it would have started or why. Maybe it was the result of experiments trying to resurrect the dead like we've talked about in a previous theory. Maybe it was somehow tied to the appearance of the Wither, who knows? But let's just say that it happened. Well, in those early days, it wouldn't be pretty. Those who managed to avoid being turned into zombies would still have to deal with the menace of being attacked by the undead. It could very well be that the zombie plague was responsible for wiping out the overworld's population. The reason that the overworld is filled with so many abandoned structures, like the desert pyramids, the jungle pyramids, who knows? Some of the early members of this ancient civilization may have fled to the end to try and escape the plague, like I've been guessing for the better part of the last year. But over successive generations of natural selection, the people in the overworld developed stronger immune systems that were resistant to the airborne plague. The villagers of today are the beneficiaries of those many generations of inherited immunity. They only turn when they're bitten, which makes sense. One of the most important defense mechanisms that we have against infection is our skin, and a bite bypasses that to inject the zombie virus directly into the bloodstream, delivering a viral load high enough to transform some villagers. And for as overthinking and overreaching as that statement might seem, design details of the game seem to support the theory. Some villagers will be zombified when attacked by zombies, while some others appear to be fully immune. 50% of villagers will simply lose health when attacked by zombies and eventually die without ever being turned, which tells us that some are immune or more resistant to the zombie curse. Weird, right? It's an awfully suspicious detail. Why, though, wouldn't a zombie virus exist in the Nether when it's both in the end and the overworld? My guess? Temperature. Warmer climate.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's part of the reason why when, so some of y'all know this, but I traveled to Jamaica in 2020. In fact, it was the trip of my life. It was such a great time. one of the things that they kept saying about Jamaica was that the amount of COVID cases were so few in the entire island. Like, the amount of COVID cases were so few that, well, don't get me wrong, they did all the proper checks going in, but they weren't worried. Like, people weren't as worried about the COVID sweeping through the, the place, because of it's a warmer climate. It's the fact that people are a lot more spread out as well in Jamaica. And it's harder to catch COVID there because of these things. The virus itself can barely survive in the temperature there. It's so humid. So really, really enjoyed my trip, and it was a very safe trip. I even left the resort and did a bunch of crazy things. It was great.
Climates tend to be better at fending off pathogens, and likewise, when it's colder, viruses are more likely to be spread. That's why you're more likely to get a cold in the winter, the flu in the winter, and why everyone was talking about the second spike of COVID happening during the fall and winter months. One of the reasons your body heats up and develops a fever.
Well, okay. I mean, that's fair, but also, I hope that you're going to mention this too in a few seconds, that the part of the reason why there's a spike in the fall and the winter of COVID cases is not just because of the climate. It also has to do with people traveling. There's a lot more traveling that happens in the fall and in the winter, for meeting family, because of all the dense holidays. There's a lot of commercial consumerism and commercialized stuff happening. A lot of things happening in, between Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Many reasons for people to travel. So all that air travel and, all that foot traffic, increases the amount of COVID cases that will be reported.
When you're sick is that certain infections have a harder time surviving at higher temperatures. And what can be hotter than HE double hockey sticks itself? The temperature down in the nether is high enough to effectively sterilize everything. Nothing says hot quite like pools of lava. This, in turn, would keep the nether clear of any zombie viruses, producing a civilization of piglins whose immune systems never encountered the plague, until, of course, they're brought into the overworld. So there you have it, friends, the invisible zombie virus of the Minecraft overworld. For as ridiculous as it sounds, the science of it actually fits a surprising amount of in-game details and behaviors. Maybe it's time Steve and Alex spend less resources building swords and axes and more time building face masks. After all, it's up to us to protect the immunocompromised.
The little face mask. The little face mask on their characters is great.
Hoglins. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And one final reminder here that game theory.
I love Matt Pat. I really do. This theory was great as well. You gotta love freaking Matt Pat, honestly. He's great.
Merch is available.
Okay. Hold on, chat. All right. Well, that was the history of an airborne zombie virus infecting the overworld by the game theorist. Once again, I always say this, I keep saying it. These are made for our entertainment, and they're great theories. I love how in-depth they are. I like how their brains are moving at that team, okay? Even if some things feel like a reach and things shatter my childhood for games and films, they're just entertaining, and it gets our minds going, and it gets us to start thinking a bit deeper or thinking differently about our favorite game or shows than I would have if I hadn't watched this video. So I can always appreciate that from Matt Pattern team. Y'all let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section. What do you think about an airborne zombie virus in Minecraft that's similar to COVID? What do you think of my Minecraft Dungeons character? Share your Minecraft Dungeons builds below too, so I can kind of hear what everyone's trying. Maybe I'll try a few out. Maybe I'll try out some suggestions for a video. You hear the music. You know what time it is. You know this is the end. I appreciate everyone sticking with me and taking a chance on my content. I want to have a live stream soon. I do know that Satis dropped a video about Technoblade. I'm not ready to watch anything techno related yet, but I'll be back. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see everyone in the next video.